In August of 2014, after the Ferguson police murdered Michael Brown, it seemed that the entire black community of Ferguson turned out in protest. Was this the start of a new movement? And if so, what direction will it be taking? Here, Oakland Socialist talks with B Girl for Life, a community organizer in Ferguson. She starts by talking about the importance of the gathering point at the QT lot and the police closing it down.
People were out. People were helping each other. People were bringing water, food, helping with transportation. All types of things. They put that fence up very quick.
Right.
Shortly after that, it boom. The fence was up, and it was a turning point. And I'm going to tell you why real quick. The reason it was a turning point is because, for one, that was our ground zero.
Right.
That was our spot. And they took that away from us. Like I said, I was one of the people who was like, we need to have a flash mob before that, and we need to reclaim that quick trip. Others felt we should have a stronger presence in front of the Ferguson Police Department. Mm-hmm. I've never been one. I never liked that idea, right? Because I felt like it was more important to keep our ground zero under our control. I think the reason people stayed there is because leadership thought it would be, to their advantage to have people there. I didn't feel that would be to our advantage to stay there, because that's an area that people are not familiar with. It's difficult to get there. It's much easier to get to West Florissant. West Florissant is a larger street. We can have more community involvement. The community that's over near the Ferguson Police Department is very different from Michael Brown's community. Right. You have to understand that. So now we're going into a territory where we're not as welcome, and the people from Michael Brown's community is not as welcome. So I didn't think it was a good idea to stay there, but I think that a lot of people were short-sighted by what they deemed success at that time, not understanding that how important West Florissant was. Mm-hmm. Lewis, I believe he's in his fourth term. The people came out to the street. That was organic. That was the people. When you think of we the people, that was we the people of Ferguson, and the surrounding community. They came out. What happened that changed that is, a lot of outside influences. A lot of organizations started coming in. A lot of special interest groups. A lot of money, was being filtered into the movement. And that greatly changed the dynamics of the movement. The people who were most impacted, the ones who took to the streets, the ones who made this a movement, the ones who are the heart of the movement, were pushed to the back, by all of these different interests and agendas. People are going to take to the streets. They are definitely going to take to the streets. There's been nothing done to alter that course.
V-Girl talks about the recent elections in Ferguson.
70%, roughly 70% of voters did not vote. They did not support these candidates. None of the candidates who ran supported dismantling the Ferguson Police Department, which is a minimum. It's the whole culture of police, not just in Ferguson, but throughout the entire region. I mean, all you have to do is look at the DOJ report and understand that the attitudes and the mentalities that were displayed in the emails and text and things like that aren't just limited to certain officers. As a matter of fact, what's her name? Twitty? I think she's a dispatcher. Right. She came out in an interview stating that, this attitude was rampant throughout the whole department. They should have fired everyone if they fired her. It's from the chief down. These people didn't see a problem sending the racist emails. Just the fact that, people think like that, that these mentalities weren't an hindrance to white officers going out patrolling black neighborhoods and dealing with black victims and suspects. So you have to understand that a diversity program isn't going to change that. It's from the top down. You know, when you look at statements made by Mayor Knowles, who has stated he doesn't even see a race problem in Ferguson. After all of this, he doesn't see it, and he thinks the DOJ report focuses too much on race. So you're not going to have a solution coming from the people who created the problem. You know, even the people who were elected into office are people who created the problem. The system is broken. You know, they know how to play the system. It's broken. It's the good old boy system. And if you play that role, you are rewarded. I mean, that's how this stuff has been going on for years and years. I mean, we can ask the same question about state politics, national politics. You know, why is Barack Obama in office and we have a black attorney general and a black person leading the Department of Homeland Security, we have more police killings than ever. Both parties are about big business. Not only big business, the politics, I would say the Republicans are more, they lean towards the prison industrial complex, and the Democrats lean more towards the nonprofit industrial complex. Either way, you know, it's bad for citizens. And the Democrats have been bad for us here in Missouri and just in this movement. Most of the people we're dealing with and fighting, a great many of them are Democrats. The governor is a Democrat.
She talks about the role of the NGOs.
Organizations that hijack movements and alter the agenda. You know, the movements go from being grassroots to sometimes they make it a national movement where the local issues, which are should be the central focus, are completely pushed to the back burner. You know, and there's sacrifice for a national movement, which is more about rallying and registering voters, the whole legislative process, getting people out to support certain candidates. You know, with upcoming elections, like right now, everybody's wondering who the Democratic presidential nominee is going to be. You know, and I guarantee you a lot of these people who are running around now talking about Black Lives Matters, they're going to be telling you to support certain candidates, you know, and candidates who have not been vocal, you know, about supporting our community or speaking out about Black people getting killed by the police.
She talks about Hillary Clinton.
We could just look at her record here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She has not supported at all. So it doesn't surprise me, you know, that she doesn't support, you know, human rights worldwide. You know, just people being allowed to live. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even, I mean, just the most basic life. You know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are real people's lives. You know, this isn't sound bites. You know, this isn't posturing, you know, to run for election and things like that. Real people are out here dying and having their lives impacted. People want change. They don't want the appearance of change. They don't want the illusion of change. They understand the system is broken, corrupt, racist, and they know that change cannot come from within that system. You know, especially with the same people who made the problem being given the task to solve the problem. I mean, you got to understand, this country is built on white supremacy. Okay? That's not just chatter. It actually is. You go to any police message board or forum online and look at how they talk about Black people. And it's not limited to the police. You got to look at the people in power who allow this to happen. Can you imagine Black police officers talking about white people and the white community the way these cops are allowed to talk about Black people in a public forum? I mean, you got Black people here, politicians who've spoken out, you know, against racism right here in Missouri, you know, and who've talked about, you know, the Klan and things like that, get fired. Yes, the Black Police Officers Association here did not protect us. They didn't come out and protect us. And that's the Black Police Officers Union Association. Black politicians here, you know, don't speak up for us. So a union rep is just another Black person, especially if they're Black, is just another Black person and a long line of Black people who have failed the Black community here. There are Black officers there were black officers out there during the protest. And
Right.
these black officers stood and watched, and some of them even participated, in victimizing. And I say victimizing because, there's a lot of psychological warfare going on. There's a lot of things going on, like beneath the surface and above the surface. I mean, when you get chased down West Florissant by a tank or by a soldier with an AK-47, when you have them point weapons at you and call you animals, and things like that, and you have black officers standing there allowing this, they're not protecting us.
Right.
So it doesn't surprise me that, black union leadership is not protecting us. It's really crazy, to turn on CNN and hear, the national director of the NAACP talking about Ferguson. Like that person is here, and that person isn't here, and has no clue. Walter Scott, his murder showed, really what happens in these cases. Before the video surfaced, the police had a whole narrative played out. They had the officer feared for his life, and there was a struggle, and he tried to take the officer's taser, and all these different things. And you can go look at all these cases here in St. Louis, and it's pretty much the same story, the same MO. It's almost like they're reading off the same script. I think as long as people felt that someone was going to come in and rescue us, people started getting, a little bit passive and a little bit complacent and willing to sit and wait, when time is of the essence. Like I told you, we've had 6 people shot and killed by the police, unarmed people shot and killed by the police since Michael Brown. Leave it to police to investigate themselves, to prosecutors and law enforcement that work with police hand in hand, even the DOJ. I mean, the DOJ comes down to law enforcement investigating law enforcement. And that's a big part of the problem. It's going to take community involvement, but, the community has to be given the resources.
Right.
And that's a big part of the problem. We can't even get any type of effective civilian oversight. So if they won't give us a watered down version of civilian oversight, can we really trust them to give us the tools we need, to patrol our own communities? Mm-hmm. And I don't think this should be a thing that's specific to black communities. I think communities all over the country, should have some element of self-patrolling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've seen the worst of this. I think we've gone through round 1.